The guy in front of us is a sneak. In order not to worry about this week's meal money, he is hunting frantically. His name is Senna. He is a D-rank hunter in the Adventurers Association. A few years ago, because of an incident, Senna was demoted from C rank to D rank. Although he was demoted, he is still full of enthusiasm for life. Just as he planned to return fully loaded, his foot slipped. He fell flat on his face. When he woke up again, he found himself in a company. It turned out he was reading a novel. Because the content later on was a bit boring, it caused him to fall asleep. But he still decided to finish reading the novel after the meeting. When he woke up again, he found himself lying in bed. The memories of death made him realize the seriousness. He had transmigrated into the poisonous novel from his past life. At this time, the doctor told him that although he suffered a severe head injury, strangely, there was nothing wrong with his body. For a hunter, isn't this very common? Senna then remembered that in this world, he is now a hunter. Generally, hunters who transmigrate into novels should possess very abnormal abilities. Now let me try it too. Senna shouted, "System, come out." Seeing this situation, the doctor immediately arranged a craniotomy for him. The patient's brain definitely has a problem. At this moment, Senna thought about having his skull opened right at the start and panicked inside. He hurriedly explained to the doctor. After Senna was discharged, hospitalization spent all his savings. He sighed that he was still so poor after transmigrating, and he wasn't even the protagonist. If he remembered correctly, the heroine of this novel is named Ellen. Just as Senna walked to his door, he saw someone confessing not far away. The woman holding fresh flowers was exactly the novel's heroine, Ellen. She's the owner of a flower shop and receives confessions every day. What Senna didn't expect was that he lived right next door to the heroine. At this time, his brain was spinning fast. Is there a very powerful or successful person living next to the heroine in the novel? Suddenly, he recalled the time when there was no reaction when he called the system. It turned out he was just a powerless extra. His acting career was shattered right there. Damn life, playing a joke on him like this. However, time flies and a month passed. Senna has adapted to the life of an extra. And during this time, he also recalled the original plot. This is a story about finding the male lead. Therefore, Ellen receives confessions every day. But those admirers are generally ruthlessly rejected. But strangely enough, there is an unchanging rule here. There is only one person who confesses to Ellen a day. With this speed, when will it be the male lead's turn to appear? At this moment, a gust of wind from Siberia messed up Senna's thoughts. He saw a man arrive at the entrance of the flower shop. Ellen saw it was the regular customer, Mr. Dion. Her eyes lit up thinking he came to buy flowers again. Who knew this Disney runaway model would open his mouth and want to have kids with her? At this time, Senna couldn't sit still. The rule that lasted for a month was instantly broken because he was the second person to confess today. And just when Senna thought things would change, Ellen lived up to expectations. She ruthlessly broke this male guest's heart. Then, Senna could recite the following procedure with his eyes closed. First, Ellen turns around and returns to the flower shop, and that male guest flops onto the ground. After watching the show, Senna prepared to go home. But that male guest happened to block the door. But he was already used to this, because past admirers would pose in a frustrated manner in the same spot. But this time was different from before. This male model lingered for a long time. Senna leaned in closer and thought he was actually quite handsome. Thinking something was wrong, he thought he should wait and see. Who knew this wait would last a year? Senna really couldn't take it anymore. So he went up and gave him a scolding. When he saw the male model's pitiful expression, he thought, who wouldn't be charmed by this silver hair and blue eyes? Just then, Senna was surprised to discover that this person was Dion. If you ask how he knows this kid, he learned it from a colleague. Dion is the eldest son of the Adventure Association president. That unique handsomeness makes one captivated at a glance. But he heard this kid is a lunatic with a very bad personality. But Senna actually likes this type. The son of a workplace superior blocking his door. If he performs well, maybe he can get a promotion and a raise. Senna smiled at him wretchedly and said, "Little brother, want to come into my house and sit?" Dion, who was tricked into the house, was wiping himself. And this scene happened to be seen by Senna carrying tea. Having never seen such a situation, how could he withstand this temptation? Subsequently, he tried hard to calm himself down. But what Senna really couldn't figure out was, a person who looks so quiet and gentle doesn't look like the rumored lunatic at all. And in this novel, this silver-haired man was never mentioned. If he guessed correctly, This man is a supporting character, just a fragment in Ellen's memory, or maybe a tool to induce jealousy in the male leads. At this time, Dion spoke. He knew his confession was all seen. He was also very sorry about this, but his heart was truly aggrieved. Then he asked him, "I have a story. Do you have wine?" And Senna was willing to listen to the handsome guy's story. Dion put down the teacup and slowly said, "Actually, Ellen and I are childhood sweethearts. She is also my first love." Hearing this, Senna was puzzled. Ellen clearly said before that they had only known each other for a month. Dion explained dejectedly. Ellen erased all her memories. Because she is an illegitimate daughter, she suffered all kinds of torture since childhood. Finally, she left the family and ran away. But she couldn't bear the painful memories of the past, so she found a witch and erased all her memories. When we were young, Ellen was the only one who played with me. Her smile fascinated Dion, but I didn't know she experienced such pain. After learning that Ellen erased her memory and ran away, I searched the entire capital to find her. When I finally found her, she didn't remember Dion at all. But it doesn't matter. I will protect her. But as time passed, more and more people confessed to Ellen. My mood also became anxious. Even 2 weeks ago, strange people started watching her. Senna was curious who that person was, and Dion only knew that person had high status. It might be someone sent by his family, but he has no relationship with Ellen. He can't protect her indiscriminately. At this moment, Senna understood everything. This is why he wanted to propose to Ellen. After the rain outside stopped, Dion expressed that he should leave too. Before leaving, Senna didn't forget to cheer him on. Dion was also very gratified. But strangely, while thanking him, he said the name Senna. But from beginning to end, he never told Dion his name. However, he was also very sleepy at this time. Rest first. Early in the morning, clanging noises outside. It was so noisy that Senna really couldn't sleep. So he looked outside to see what was happening. As a result, he opened the door and bumped into a child. He grabbed him and asked what was going on next door. So he told Senna that his master wanted to hire the flower shop owner as his gardener. So he came personally. Senna on the side recalled, this person might be the strange, noble Dion mentioned. Understanding something, Senna prepared to go back inside and continue sleeping. Who knew a man would burst through the door? That person was exactly the child's master. Subsequently, Senna scolded the man angrily, asking what he wanted by breaking into his house for no reason. And the man, because he was rejected by the flower shop owner, prepared to buy this house. Senna was confused by his words. Then the man introduced himself. His name is Kalman. He is the coolest guy in the capital. Senna on the side had obviously heard of this person's reputation. But as a noble, leaving his mansion not to live in, he insists on buying his house. Could this be one of the plans to get close to Ellen? Thinking of this, Senna decisively refused. The butler beside him heard someone refuse his master for the first time. He planned to teach him a good lesson. Senna was quick-eyed and quick-handed, performing a monkey steals the peach. And Kalman, seeing the situation developing more and more perversely, he stepped forward to stop the two of them. Coincidentally, Dion also arrived at this time. What Senna didn't know was that they actually knew each other. Upon learning that Kalman came to buy the house, Dion also indicated he came to buy the house. The war between the two was on the verge of breaking out. They started bidding. Senna, with a splitting headache, shouted loudly, stopping them. He stated that he would not sell this house no matter what. At this time, Kalman told him he would come again next time. He wouldn't let it go until he got the house. Then he swaggered away. After such a toss, how could Senna's small body take it? Subsequently, he did a fierce woman faint. He was caught in time by Dion. When he woke up again, he learned he had a cold. The doctor said it wasn't a big problem. Before leaving, he instructed Dion to take good care of his wife. Hearing this, both of them were stunned. Senna secretly rejoiced inside. Isn't the story coming now? After a while, Dion apologized to Senna. It was all because of the rain that day, making him wait so long, so he caught a cold. Looking at such a beautiful face, how could Senna bear to fuss about this with him? And to express his apology, Dion decided to take good care of Senna during this time. Having never been treated like this, he was a bit at a loss. But another point surfaced in his heart. So he got up and asked Dion. The first time they met, when he left, he called him Senna. But he never told Dion his name. But Dion insisted that Senna told him. It even confused himself. Then he asked if the person who visited Ellen before was Duke Kalman, and Dion said it wasn't him. That person's hair color was purple. Hearing this aroused Senna's curiosity. After some time, after the two chatted for a while, Dion went back, and Senna came to the flower shop to buy flowers. But seeing Ellen very excited today, he asked what happened. So Ellen told him. Today a tall, rich, and handsome guy hired her as a gardener. Originally, Ellen thought he was like the others, coming to confess. Unexpectedly, finally someone focused on her ability, not her appearance. This is the reason she is very happy. Although Ellen rejected Kalman, he will come again to shake Ellen's heart. Then wouldn't poor Dion be very sad? In order not to let Dion suffer grievances, Senna decided to intervene personally. So he quietly told Ellen that the tall, rich, and handsome guy also broke into his house. Later he found out it was Duke Kalman. As a result, he indiscriminately threatened him to buy the house. Hearing this, Ellen exclaimed, "Really? Really or fake?" Senna added another stab. He claimed the Duke covets all the houses in this village. If he can't get them, he will destroy them. This scared Ellen badly. She exclaimed that Kalman is a robber. Sure enough, men's mouths are deceitful ghosts. Senna stated he is a hunter and can deal with the Duke. But Ellen, a weak woman, must be careful. This made Ellen nervous. Then she thanked Senna for the reminder. It has to be said, Senna's operation was truly heart-piercing. After learning about Senna's output to Ellen, Dion told him not to offend the Duke. It will cause trouble. But Senna didn't think so. He expressed he would support him. At this time, Dion touched his forehead, telling him to take care of his body first. And he now also wants to give up pursuing Ellen. After he finished saying that, he ran away as if he had seen a ghost. This made Senna very puzzled. At the same time, he was very worried about Dion. Maybe this little puppy will be like last time, secretly hiding somewhere crying, or getting robbed by bandits on the way. The more he thought, the more worried Senna became. He decided to look around for Dion. Just then, screams came from an alley. Senna rushed over upon hearing the sound. At this time, Dion was completely different from daytime. The scene in front of him stunned Senna. Those people lying down were all Dion's doing alone. Turner, who was with him, dared not move at the side, afraid Dion would go crazy and even beat his own people. Dion's expression was wretched, muttering something in his mouth, making Turner extremely nervous. Not far away, a woman wearing a hood told the two they had to leave quickly. The group then left. Senna in the distance sat on the ground. He never thought Dion turned out to be a delinquent. The next day, he wanted to know more information about Dion. So he came to the request hall to ask Anna. Since Dion is the son of the association president, he quietly asked Anna. And Anna expressed that Dion is not a kind person. Heard that the association president's brothers loved to bully his mother. Because of her lowly birth, she died early, and Dion believes her death was all those brothers' fault. So he started revenge. The association president's brother Silong's engagement was broken off. It was all because Dion seduced Silong's fiancée, the association president's sister, Isabella. She broke off her engagement with her fiancé also because of Dion. He seduced his aunt's fiancée. At this moment, Senna's face looked like he had just eaten hot shit. How is this the Dion he knows? Anna repeatedly warned him to stay away from Dion. This person is very dangerous. Suddenly, she hurriedly patted Senna, saying there was a handsome guy in the distance. Senna looked back, and his awkwardness cancer acted up, thinking, why did the Duke appear here? Taking advantage of him not recognizing him, he hurried to leave. Who knew he would bump into someone on the way? Coincidentally, it was his former colleague. That person started speaking sarcastically upon seeing him, saying all kinds of words about parents serving him. Senna, unable to bear it anymore, pointed at his chest and said, "Go brush your teeth. Your mouth is so smelly. No wonder you always get dumped by women." Hearing this, the man instantly turned red with anger. He went up preparing to swing. However, these were all Senna's goading tactics. If others move first and he fights back, it is self-defense. At this time, Kalman stepped forward and stopped the man, thinking several people bullying one person is truly despicable. Then he directly punched the man away. Then he turned to care about Senna, asking if he was injured. But in his heart right now, 10,000 horses were galloping. The plan for self-defense was ruined just like that. Suddenly, the man stepped forward preparing to sneak attack. Kalman was quick-eyed and quick-handed, blocking this move. He even mocked him that his movements were too slow. Go back and practice more. The man's face was red and twisted. He took out a hidden weapon and prepared to fight him to the death. Senna didn't expect his former colleague could be so despicable. A flying kick knocked the small knife away, and Kalman took this opportunity to punch the man down. The two cooperated so tacitly, like a pair of deadly mandarin ducks. Handsome for no more than 2 seconds. Them beating the man down was seen by the security team. The original self-defense turned into brawling in the street. Really unlucky to the extreme. Senna looked at Kalman, who was also locked up, thinking, isn't this the Duke? How could he also be locked up in here? Seeing him so pitiful, Senna comforted him, and Kalman's sudden apology made Senna a bit at a loss. He felt sorry for his retainer's impulsive behavior. Senna always thought that general nobles are spoiled and use privileges. For example, that old guy. But Kalman is different. This changed Senna's stereotype of him. However, 3 hours later, still no one came to pick Kalman up. Senna felt that continuing like this was really wronging the Duke. So he decided to tell the security team Kalman's true identity. But the jailer didn't believe it all. At this time, footsteps attracted everyone's attention. But this person was Marcel's butler. He demanded compensation for his master. That amount was ridiculously high. Senna simply couldn't accept it. Then the butler said arrogantly, if the companion beside him was beaten a few times with a stick by the master, they wouldn't have to pay the compensation. Hearing this, Kalman looked disdainful. At this time, Kalman's adjutant hurriedly arrived at the scene, apologizing for his lateness. When the butler learned that Kalman was the Duke, he panicked inside. Senna added a stab from the side, saying the butler outside said he wanted to tie the Duke up and beat him. Then the adjutant stared at that person ferociously, asking if he couldn't distinguish who was the boss. After a while, this tense atmosphere extended to the table. When the butler heard Kalman was going to visit his master, his little heart leaped to his throat, and Kalman felt he should confirm his condition. At this time, the adjutant beside him asked angrily what to do about the compensation. This made the butler shake his head straight away. The Duke doesn't need to worry about his master at all. Regarding the compensation, let Senna pay it directly. Senna is not a soft persimmon either. Feeling he had no reason to pay, just as the two were in a stalemate, Kalman said he would pay the money. But Senna knew clearly in his heart that if he paid, his house would have to be handed over. So he wouldn't agree. He started battling with the butler again. However, the final outcome was that Kalman helped him pay half the compensation. On the way home, Senna was anxious that his house was going to be gone. His heart was incomparably panicked. Suddenly, he turned back and told Kalman, no matter what, he wouldn't sell that house to him. He thought Kalman would bargain with him. But unexpectedly, he paid for Senna to express his apology for last time. So whether to sell or not is up to him. And this action moved Senna. The next day, chirping noises outside woke Senna up. Seeing the guard team also present, he instantly felt something was wrong, thinking something happened to the heroine next door. Seeing this scene, Senna hurriedly lifted the cloth. Seeing it wasn't the heroine, his suspended heart finally dropped. Later, Senna learned that a thief entered Ellen's flower shop, reported to the security team, who knew the captain slipped as soon as he entered the room. Because he felt embarrassed, he covered his face while being carried out. But the thief was not caught. Strange to say, that thief left without stealing anything. Under Senna's concern, Ellen was also very happy, because having such a neighbor worrying about her is a blessing. Then she held Senna's hand, expressing she wanted to be good friends with him for a lifetime. This made Senna at a loss. Being able to be friends with the heroine, he is also very lucky. Suddenly, a black shadow flashed outside the window. Senna chased out without saying more. He jumped and pounced on the man in black, then directly pinned him down, asking why he was monitoring Ellen, who knew taking off the winter hat. It turned out to be the Duke's adjutant, Aaron. It turned out the Duke finally bought the house behind Ellen's. Aaron repeatedly emphasized he was not a stalker, nor a thief. And yesterday, the thief ran away because people from their side chased him away. Thanks to their people watching here all the time, they discovered the thief so quickly. But soon he realized he seemed to have let something slip. Senna also noticed, does the Duke like Ellen? Aaron hurriedly and flusteredly explained. Actually, Ellen is very important to the Duke, so he sent them to protect her nearby. But even so, Senna would absolutely never sell the house. After sending Aaron away, Senna felt something was a bit strange. He felt Aaron spoke weirdly, even stuttering from nervousness. At this time, he got up and found the lights in their house were still on, staying up all night guarding. Hard not to suspect. At this time, Senna heard a scream coming from the house. It seemed to be the Duke's voice. Thinking the Duke was at least a prison mate who helped him pay the compensation, Senna couldn't sit back and watch. Arriving at the Duke's house, Senna found the door wasn't locked. Walking into the house, he smelled a sweet floral scent, but it was already autumn. At this time, he heard creaking sound from the floor. Creak, creak, until a man's scream came. Senna remembered he came to save the Duke. When Senna found Kalman, he was actually curled up in the corner shivering. Seeing him looking like he lost his soul, Senna gave him a big slap directly. Kalman, who regained his sanity, glared at Senna furiously. Why didn't he tell him this house was haunted? Senna looked confused. How can this be blamed on me? Senna was speechless. He suggested that since it's like this, let's go see where the ghost is. Mentioning finding the ghost, Kalman panicked even more. Senna then realized. It turns out Duke Kalman is actually afraid of ghosts. But the Duke was stubborn and insisted he wasn't afraid of ghosts, and forcibly followed Senna. Subsequently, Senna found a room, opened the door, but found nothing there. But the Duke's soul was already half scared away. Seeing the Duke like this, Senna laughed until his stomach hurt. And at this time, Senna also found the source of the sound. It came from the basement. Just as Senna was about to go down, he was blocked by the cowardly Duke. Senna just wanted to turn back and explode in anger, but was amused by the Duke's pitiful expression. What was this guy's nickname again? Cold-blooded monster. He had to explain to the Duke that it wasn't a ghost down there, but a monster. Subsequently, Senna took out a gem that could sense monsters, and the sweet scent coming from the Duke's house is the evidence. At this time, a hurricane struck and blew Senna down. The magic crystal in Senna's hand also rolled into the basement, illuminating the basement. After the two crawled up, they saw a bizarre scene. They saw there was actually an Ellen in the basement. But looking carefully, they found it wasn't Ellen. Just looked a bit like her. At this time, Senna wanted to tease the Duke, so he said his back hurt and couldn't pick up the magic crystal. Kalman had to embolden himself to pick it up. However, just as he mustered his courage and emboldened himself to pick up the magic crystal, the doll behind him actually floated up and kept muttering, "Why did you kill me?" The doll kept making creaking sounds. The Duke was so scared he curled into a ball. He panic-strickenly told Senna that was Selena. Senna turned back and found the ceiling was about to collapse. He had to drag Kalman to escape the room. However, as the monster continuously approached, the Duke became increasingly afraid. Senna comforted him, telling him to close his eyes, because what he was seeing now wasn't real, just an illusion. There was no need to be afraid. She asked the Duke to wait a moment, as she would be right back. Closing his eyes, Kalman seemed to see Selena's figure. But when that figure turned around, it was actually the monster from before. By this time, Senna had already returned, and she had caught the demonic beast. Its name is Avalakas. It was the one causing Kalman to fall into hallucinations. It uses its thorns to sting people and give them nightmares. Moreover, it makes those nightmares manifest as phantoms in reality, confusing people to absorb their energy. Sometimes, it even eats human bodies. Learning that it was just a small demonic beast causing trouble, Kalman finally breathed a sigh of relief. Calming down in this moment, he realized that this rude woman was actually somewhat pretty now. By this time, the sky had brightened. A crowd had gathered outside Kalman's house. They had heard the sound of things collapsing inside and came out to watch. Senna hurriedly went out to explain that the house was in disrepair. Seeing Senna there, Ellen ran over with concern. After learning that Senna was fine, she asked what she was wondering about. "Senna, why are you at the Duke's house?" Senna had to explain that she was helping the Duke move when the floor inexplicably collapsed. At this moment, Ellen saw the Duke walking out and hurriedly said goodbye to Senna. Aaron also heard the news and rushed over immediately. He was very worried about the Duke and requested to stay by his side from now on. But the Duke refused. Compared to that, he had a more important task for Aaron, to investigate this demonic beast. At this time, everyone also noticed the scars on Senna's hands. The scars were caused by mana stones. They can help people with insufficient mana use magic, but they are incompatible with magic itself, so some people cannot use them. Senna is one such case. When she uses a mana stone to cast magic, the mana inside the stone completely disappears and turns black. However, Senna found another way to utilize this characteristic. This method involves rapidly releasing the mana inside the mana stone and throwing the stone, which is about to explode, to blast the opponent. But Senna still couldn't figure out why a monster would appear in the capital. It is said that for hundreds of years, no monster has been able to break through the barrier set up around the capital. Seeing that Senna saved him and hurt her hands in the process, Kalman proposed that he could grant Senna one request. Senna was very happy. She wanted to know the results of the investigation regarding the monster, but she was refused. "That is the only thing I cannot do." A monster appeared near her own home, yet she couldn't know the reason. Senna was furious. Aaron, who was walking over with a doctor, saw this scene and got caught in the crossfire of Senna's rage. After getting her hands treated, Senna walked alone on the street. After cooling down, she thought about it carefully. The appearance of a monster in the capital proves there is a problem with the barrier. Making it public would cause panic. So, she suddenly understood the Duke a little. Just as she was deep in thought, she suddenly realized there was a figure behind her. Senna hadn't noticed the person's presence at all, and even her attack was blocked by them. The person then asked if she was injured. Turning around, she realized the person behind her was Dion. She felt that Dion was terrifying at that moment. But soon, he reverted to his usual self. The huge contrast made it seem like two different people. Dion was very worried about Senna's injury, but Senna was a bit resistant. However, she remembered that Dion was the association chairman's son and should know something about the monsters. Subsequently, the two went to a restaurant. Senna inexplicably got a free meal, but she still told Dion about the matter, urging him to tell her if there was any news. Dion, however, told her to interact less with the Duke. He believed the Duke was not a good person. Senna wanted to defend the Duke a bit. Dion noticed the incident about the thief entering Ellen's house. After hearing the story, Senna asked Dion why he didn't go see Ellen. Dion expressed that he was distressed. Seeing Dion's expression, Senna suddenly felt that regardless of which side, it was still Dion's true nature. But his love for Ellen should be genuine. Even if he had a split personality, what did it matter to Senna? As long as Dion was good to her, that was enough. Dion even cut the steak and handed it to Senna. Senna, naturally, did not refuse. Afterwards, Dion asked what she was doing after eating. Senna wanted to go to the library to see if there were any records of monsters appearing in the capital. Dion wanted to go too. Senna intended to refuse, but Dion used the excuse of helping her since she was injured, so Senna agreed. Eventually, the two arrived at the library, but when showing his ID to the librarian called out Mr. Russell Dorr. Senna was shocked. Who is Russell? Dion didn't explain, just kept walking inside. She also recalled hearing that only a very few hunters had ever seen Dion with their own eyes. Could he be an imposter? But then Dion suddenly stopped. He had something to say to Senna. Just when Senna thought he was going to spill the truth, he said that actually he really wasn't suited for the library. He explained that he might fall asleep while reading, but he couldn't just leave Senna and go. Senna was speechless. Then why did you make the atmosphere so heavy? Helpless, Senna had to ask proactively. She wanted to know who Russell was. Dion said his father made it for him. He didn't know who the true owner of the hunter ID was either. Also, he hadn't actually registered as a hunter because he was the association chairman's eldest son. Many people didn't want to see him become a hunter, and he wasn't interested in the position of successor to the association chairman. Seeing Dion become melancholy at the mention of his father, Senna decided it was best not to bring it up. Afterwards, Dion helped the injured Senna get books from the shelves. The author of this book was a doctor, someone dedicated to researching monsters, and the first person to write a monster encyclopedia. But Dion found something wrong with the book. The content written in it was very seductive. He licked my lips with his tongue, his red fingers on my thigh. Senna immediately closed the book. Only then did she notice there were small subtitles on the book. These shameful words made Senna flee directly. Later, hiding aside and reading alone, Senna found that although the parts about the author and the mammoth's experiences were very explicit, it was well organized. Furthermore, she found the monster caught yesterday. Although there was nothing special about it, Senna couldn't help but change her line of thought. It wasn't a monster living near the capital, nor was it strong enough to break the barrier. Could it be that someone caught it and released it on purpose? At this time, Senna noticed the sun had already set. She looked around but didn't see Dion anywhere. Senna prepared to look for Dion, but she saw a person with purple hair in the library. Could it be the thief who went to Ellen's house? Then Senna saw that person enter the library's restricted area. Senna was worried that person would harm Ellen, so she wanted to figure out what they were planning. Thus, she followed behind the man. But while tracking him, she found that the person had turned back. Just as Senna wanted to hide, she was pulled away by Dion to hide. At this moment, the sound of two people talking drifted over. From the conversation, Senna deduced that the Marquis was indeed looking for Ellen. The Marquis here refers to Marquis Augilus. In the novel, Ellen suffered all kinds of torture from the Marquis's family. She called them bad people. Only towards Marquis Augilus was there no clear definition of good or bad, but rather a very vague description. People in the Marquis's household didn't treat the illegitimate daughter Ellen as a human. They beat, tortured, and slandered her whenever they had the chance. When everyone hated her, only Marquis Augilus gave her a room, clothes, food, and even maids. But he never went to see Ellen. He gave the impression that he denied Ellen's existence. When the children and the Marchioness bullied Ellen, the Marquis didn't stop them either. but he wouldn't bully Ellen himself. It was like he pretended Ellen didn't exist. Senna didn't understand why the Marquis was looking for Ellen now. But that purple-haired, mysterious person said that wasn't Ellen. The first time he went to the flower shop, she was like Ellen, treating the mysterious person very kindly. But the second time he went, she used a broom to drive the mysterious person's subordinate away. By the third time, that woman was full of foul language, with an extremely high level of profanity. These dirty words were too much even for the Marquis, who told the mysterious person to shut up. The two hiding aside were also stunned. And all this credit goes to Senna. She had taught Ellen to speak exactly as she taught her if she met someone like the Duke. Learning that it was Senna who taught Ellen, Dion almost laughed out loud. Fortunately, he was stopped by Senna. They couldn't be sure if that person was really Ellen either. Just in case, the purple-haired man planned to visit one more time, and he intended to change his appearance to see Ellen. Afterwards, the two left the place. Dion was still reeling from the amusement because Senna's move had an unexpected effect. At this moment, Senna noticed that while Ellen might be in danger, Dion was still laughing so happily. Senna asked Dion what he planned to do, but Dion actually said he hadn't thought about it yet. Senna felt something was wrong. The person he liked was in danger, yet Dion had this reaction. Dion calmly offered to walk her home. Wrong. 9 out of 10 parts wrong. He doesn't like her anymore? Or did he feel tired and put away his feelings for her? But Senna didn't think feelings of liking someone could change so easily. Moreover, she drove the Duke away just so Dion and Ellen could be together. Now if Ellen is in danger, who will protect her? Seeing Anna constantly questioning, Senna had to change the subject. She wanted to know if the people from the detection department were still at the association. After checking the records, Anna said that everyone from the detection department was out on business, but they might return early, so she suggested Senna wait upstairs. Senna had to go to the detection department office, but upon entering the office, Senna was stunned. She saw Dion sitting in the office, claiming he had waited for Senna for a long time. He had stolen the key from a detection department mage. Then Dion gave the key to Senna as a gift. Afterwards, the two rummaged through the detection department, but they searched the entire office and didn't find a report on the monster from the Duke's house. Dion deduced that such important data wouldn't be kept in the detection department. The two had to tidy up the place and leave. At this moment, Senna suddenly asked, "Are you really planning to give up on Ellen?" I've decided to give up. Senna didn't expect Anna to be right. It seems supporting characters are destined not to be with the protagonist. Thus, Senna began to comfort Dion, saying he was also a very good man. Dion immediately perked up. He asked if Senna could stay with him. Senna thought this was typical post-breakup behavior, wanting Senna to play with him when he was depressed, so she agreed. Afterwards, the two restored the office to its original state. But when they were about to leave, Senna heard someone walking towards them. She grabbed Dion. Fortunately, the person outside walked past. Senna angrily questioned Dion. What if we were seen running out so recklessly? Dion made excuses, saying wouldn't it be fine to just say he had business there? Senna had already beaten this reckless guy 10,000 times in her mind. But knowing he was the chairman's son, she forced herself to calm down. She had to patiently explain that no matter where Dion went, he was very conspicuous. Because of his dazzling silver hair and clear blue eyes, people would stare at him wherever he went. Seeing Senna praise him so seriously, Dion wanted to laugh. He had to say he would be careful in the future. However, he wanted Senna to keep her promise, and that promise was to stay with Dion. For this reason, Dion knocked on Senna's door at 12 p.m. the next day, dragging her out to eat. On the third day, fearing Senna might think it was too early, he picked 1 p.m. to come. Then on the fourth day, he found a new dessert shop. The fifth day was the same as always. Senna had to invite him in first, claiming she still had to clean. She really didn't expect someone to come seeking comfort every single day. Just then, someone else knocked on the door. Dion went to help open it, only to find the Duke at the door. Before the Duke could speak, Dion chose to shut the door directly. Eventually, the three sat down, but sparks were flying between the two men's eyes. At this moment, the Duke stated the purpose of his visit. He had a proposition he hadn't finished stating, but he was rejected by Dion. Afterwards, the two started bickering incessantly. Finally, they questioned Senna why she let the other person in. Of course, because this is my house. This is my house. I do what I want, Senna roared. Only then did the two calm down. Afterwards, Senna asked about the Duke's proposal. It turned out the house the Duke bought downstairs had collapsed. He thought about repairing it, but found there was a lot to fix. So he thought about renovating the entire interior directly. But it might take 1 or 2 months. So he hoped to borrow Senna's home during the construction period. Not borrowing the whole house, but just a room. Senna intended to refuse. But upon seeing the contract stating a monthly rent of 500,000 yufen, she immediately welcomed the distinguished guest. After all, this was more than she earned in a year. Moreover, if the Duke lived here, she could save Ellen immediately if she encountered danger. But Dion protested strongly. He stated he could also give Senna 500,000. It was a matter of tools. He had been curious since just now. What exactly was the relationship between these two? Senna immediately stated, Dion is just a younger brother I know. Hearing Senna say this, Dion was a bit devastated. The Duke, however, revealed a satisfied expression. He gave Senna time to consider, saying she could add any additional clauses. Then, he left triumphantly. Senna was a bit surprised. Was this the same arrogant and domineering Duke she first met? But she felt that even so, she should supplement the contract first. When Senna brought the supplemented contract to Dion to check, she found Dion throwing a tantrum. He asked Senna haughtily if she really was going to sign the contract. Senna, of course, had to sign, because she needed money. Dion aggrievedly stated that he could give Senna that amount of money too. But Senna felt she needed the Duke more right now, because a thief had entered Ellen's house before. If not for the Duke's men nearby, Ellen might really have been in danger, and that purple-haired person might look for Ellen again. If the Duke lived here, Ellen could at least avoid the worst-case scenario. Only then did Dion understand Senna's actions. A few days later, the Duke had already moved his things into Senna's house. Besides that, he established a full 6 overbearing clauses. Violation would mean terminating the contract. And when Aaron asked who the person standing over there was, it finally gave the Duke a chance to perform. He enunciated word by word, just a younger brother she knows. The two were constantly competing secretly. Senna really couldn't stand these two. She dragged Dion directly to let him go back and rest. But at the door, they found it wouldn't open. Dion immediately expressed sadness that the door wouldn't open. Looks like I can't go home. Afterwards, the three sat together again. The Duke realized the door and windows seemed to be trapped in some kind of barrier. Senna immediately thought of a possibility. Sure enough, it was as she expected. There was a monster here. She angrily punched the window. But strangely, the glass was completely unharmed. It seemed a trapped living food to make it easier to eat. At this time, the temperature in the room began to rise. It seemed to be the work of some rare monster. Senna wanted to force out information about the monster at the Duke's house to deal with the current situation. Just then, Dion brought 2 glasses of cold water. Senna then discovered Dion could actually use magic, and there was a tattoo on his arm. Finally, it was slightly cooler. Senna planned to find a monster hiding in the house first, but neither of them seemed to know of this monster's existence. Senna suddenly became curious. Had the two met before? The Duke stated they had passed each other before. His friend had spoken to him about Dion, so the Duke knew of him, and the Duke's friend had told the Duke to be careful of Dion. Dion was dismissive of this. Just as the two were bickering, Senna floated up. It was like she was swallowed into the monster's stomach. The Duke immediately pulled out a dagger. Using Senna's position to judge the monster's head, he slashed at it. He severed the monster's tongue. To his surprise, the monster's tongue regenerated very quickly. Dion also used ice magic to attack, but the monster escaped. However, just when the two chased it downstairs, they found the monster had disappeared again. The temperature kept rising. The two had to sit down to think of a countermeasure. At this time, Kalman discovered that salt seemed to have a restraining effect on the monster. Thus, they used a bait strategy. The monster indeed took the bait. The moment it touched the salt, it immediately revealed its form. Kalman also seized the opportunity and chopped off the monster's head with one strike. But soon, the two discovered something. Senna did not come out, and the monster showed signs of regeneration. They deduced the demonic beast used a mana stone as an energy source. Only by taking or destroying the mana stone could they kill it. Now the Duke had to listen to Dion's lousy idea, drill into the monster's body to save Senna. But just then, the monster woke up. It swallowed the Duke in one gulp. With Kalman gone, Dion used magic and scrupulously. a ball of golden flame rose in his hand, roasting the monster directly to medium well. At this moment, the monster spat out a mouthful of blood. The Duke, holding Senna, was spat out along with the blood, and he successfully pulled the monster's mana stone out of its body. Only then was the monster completely dispersed. Senna had actually fallen asleep. In her dream, she hugged the Duke tightly, muttering, "Mom, today is Saturday. No school. Let me sleep more." Dion snatched the heavy burden over to himself. It wasn't until Senna was sent to the Duke's house and woke up that she realized how mortifying that scene was. However, just when Senna apologized earnestly, expressing her respect for the nobility, Kalman became unhappy again. But Senna asked about business. She wanted to force out the recent investigation intelligence on the monsters. Why did demonic beasts always appear near Senna's home? But Kalman was also still investigating and hadn't found the answer to why monsters appeared. But he promised to tell Senna when the investigation was over. Then he left the room. Aaron looked at the Duke with anticipation. He wanted to know the relationship between the Duke and Senna, because even the servants at home saw the Duke look at someone with eyes full of worry and love for the first time. The rumors were going crazy now. The Duke remained silent, just blushing continuously. Senna, on her side, couldn't figure it out. The capital was so safe. Not only were there mages and hunters, but also a barrier developed by scholars. Yet a monster actually broke through the barrier and barged in. Dion believed the Duke didn't tell them, because it was a matter where knowing it would put one's life in danger. But Senna felt that even so, she didn't want to stand by and watch. She wanted to clarify the cause and clear out the monsters. Hearing Senna say this, Dion suddenly stated he was going back. Senna didn't know why the atmosphere suddenly turned cold. She didn't know why Dion suddenly acted like this. But then Dion turned around and told Senna a piece of news. Senna's house had collapsed. Senna felt like the sky had collapsed too. Facing Aaron's questioning, the Duke chose silence. However, just as he kept considering the relationship between the two, he remembered an important thing. That was Ellen. So the Duke had to appear at Senna's door again. By this time, Senna had already repaired the messy room more or less. And the reason she was so happy was that she sold the Mana Stone. It was Dion who helped her sell it. For this, Senna tidied up a room for Dion to sleep in. Seeing how harmonious the two were, the Duke was very unwilling. For this, he decided to show off his skills and cook personally. But soon, the two discovered that the Duke couldn't cook at all. Helpless, Senna had to offer to help. So the two started working together. Unexpectedly, Senna was also a kitchen disaster. What she made was simply hellish cuisine. The Duke, relying only on a cookbook, made a pot of delicious food full of appetite. Dion was forced to eat the hellish cuisine made by Senna. The Duke also enjoyed a rare, heartwarming meal. After eating, the group went to the night market to stroll. Dion took a fancy to a dragon lantern. Seeing that Dion liked the dragon very much, Senna paid to buy it for him. At this time, the people around increased. The stall owner explained that these people seemed to be here to watch a play. So afterwards, the three arrived at the theater. Unexpectedly, the two watched the melodramatic play with relish. Senna couldn't help but recall that the last time she watched a play was 10 years ago, when she went with her grandparents. Little did they know, the three's leisurely life after the meal was all being watched by a mysterious person. With the three living together and the two's concern for Senna, Senna couldn't help but think of her grandparents. Suddenly, it felt like having a family. Then Senna arrived at the association, only to find that Anna had called her early in the morning just to vent her grievances. There were too few requests lately. At this rate, she would be unemployed. Before she could finish speaking, Robin walked over, and he brought a request. Senna looked as if she had eaten something disgusting. Work coming just when she didn't want it. And this request was actually to take care of children. When the security team members were overwhelmed by the incessantly crying children, Senna skillfully soothed the children. Soon, under Senna's guidance, the security team finally calmed the children down. These children had been picked up from various places by the security team while patrolling the city. The inexperienced Robin went to the association and ran into Senna, who happened to be there. Although things were chaotic lately, it shouldn't be possible to lose 5 children at the same time. Senna couldn't help but suspect. Was this really a coincidence? However, she soon discovered the answer. When Senna said goodbye to the security team and returned home, she was stunned because the voice came from below. Dion had actually turned into a child. Upon learning the truth, Senna laughed until she almost cramped up. The two, who had been immersed in reading at home, had unwittingly turned into children, and Dion's child form was just too cute. Senna really wanted to enter him in a baby contest. Then Senna made a connection to the 5 children found at the security team. She concluded it must be the work of a monster. Moreover, a monster had appeared 3 times near her house recently. She decided to go to the library to check tomorrow. The next day, Senna bought fitting clothes for the two. Now Kalman was 12 years old, and Dion was only 7. At this moment, Aaron rushed over. The two immediately hid. He heard the Duke was here. Senna hurriedly and clumsily explained that she hadn't seen the Duke. Aaron then realized, could this be a vacation? He disappeared from Senna's sight in less than 10 seconds. Employees slacking off, and the boss couldn't even come out to scold them. The Duke was very depressed. Afterwards, the 3 went to the library together. Sure enough, they found it in a book. An S-rank spiritual monster named Labroda. People cursed by this monster would become smaller and smaller as time passed. If left unchecked, they would eventually die. Dion, however, told Senna to calm down. He told her that Labroda's curse uses the monster's mana. It has no effect on priests. At the same time, it only brings minor changes to mages and those skilled in using aura. Those skilled in aura will stay in their teenage appearance. Mages will stay in their childhood appearance. Dion explained that he and the Duke might remain in these forms. He also stated that this monster, once raised as a pet by demons, likes to trouble humans. Anyone who pets Labroda will be affected. It's best not to approach them blindly just because they look cute. Senna, however, thought a monster is a monster after all. How could anyone dare to pet it? Dion and the Duke seemed to realize something. They spoke in unison. That cat in the room. Senna remarked that catching cats was becoming endless. She asked them if they should request assistance from other hunters. The Duke, however, thought that with monsters appearing all over the capital, they should prevent more victims from appearing. Senna mentioned that Robin was already very knowledgeable about this incident. Dion questioned Senna. Who is this person named Robin? Does he know this incident well? Ellen appeared at this moment holding the monster, asking Senna if the 2 beside her were her cousins. Then, the 3 stared in unison at the cat in Ellen's arms. No, the monster. Seeing the cat jump out of Ellen's arms, Dion decided to strike first, only to see Dion fall flat on his face. He was mocked by the Duke. The triumphant Duke said he would catch it himself. The monster performed a perfect dodge. Finally, with an elegant turn, seeing the Duke in a worse state than himself, Dion couldn't help but laugh. Ellen awkwardly remarked that she didn't expect Senna's cousins to be so energetic. Senna had to awkwardly cover it up. Senna deduced that she must be the possessor of infinite victory because she held Labroda for quite a while. Finally, the 2 decided to catch Labroda together, but they made a mess of Senna's house. Finally, unable to stand it, Senna shouted at them to stop. Dion looked at her with teary, aggrieved eyes. Seeing this, Senna had to comfort little Dion first. Senna said Sasha was so brave for not crying. The Duke looked confused. How did he become Sasha? It was a girl's name. Senna whispered an explanation that she made it up. Ellen thought you were my cousin. To avoid being discovered, we have to change names. Ellen thought Senna must be exhausted from taking care of children. Ellen also happily remarked that Senna's cousin looked very much like her. So cute. Senna wondered where the resemblance was. Ellen said it was because the eyes were similar. Senna wondered if Ellen was serious. Labroda pushed open the door at this time, seeming to provoke Senna to follow it outside to play. Senna remembered from the book that to repel Labroda, one must play with it with all one's might, and play until Labroda is satisfied. The 3 started a chase game with Labroda outside. After running for several hours, Senna was a bit exhausted. With no other choice, she finally told them not to chase aimlessly, but to corner Labroda. The 2 seemed to run faster and faster. Senna realized they were now in an abandoned area. It was due to experiments done by some crazy mage. Massive amounts of mana had leaked here. She thought, Labroda is a monster. Was it attracted here by the familiar aura? Senna heard a creepy laugh at this moment. Something seemed to be approaching Senna. It was Labroda. It spoke Senna's name. Senna was puzzled. How did it know her name? Labroda fled after saying that. On second thought, maybe it heard her name from Ellen back at the house. Senna decided to play with it properly. At this moment, Senna saw a scene that terrified her. It was actually Duke Sharad, so it was Labroda's doing. Labroda told Senna, falling from such a height would hurt a lot, right? Labroda threw the Duke ruthlessly toward the ground. Senna ran like crazy, wanting to catch the Duke. The images in her mind reminded Senna of the tragic death of her old friend. Senna realized it was already too late to get there. Suddenly, Dion appeared. He used his magic to catch the Duke. Labrota seemed to have expected this, telling Senna that her expression was really interesting. Senna was furious. She was determined to catch him. Senna threw a magic crystal at Labrota. With a bang, Labrota fell to the ground. Senna thought, it's an S-rank monster. Did it go down that easily? It turned out Labrota did it on purpose. It asked Senna to state her wish. If she won the game against Labrota, she could make a wish. Senna asked how it knew her name. Labrota told her that answering now would be equivalent to granting her wish. Senna just had to tell it to return everything to its original state. Labrota told her it would help realize her wish. It told Senna they would meet again. The Duke and the others arrived and wanted to know what happened. Suddenly, Dion fainted in front of them. When Dion woke up, Senna asked about his condition with great concern. Dion shyly said it might be a fever. This happens when using mana beyond the limit. He told Senna he would be fine after a rest. Senna, sitting on pins and needles, asked Dion why monsters kept appearing near them, and this time it put you in danger. Once magic goes out of control, it's very hard to control it again. Dion, however, misunderstood that Senna was worried about him. Senna was instantly rendered speechless by him. She thought he had too little safety awareness. The mischievous Dion said he needed rest. He asked Senna if he could rest just like this. Seeing him acting like a child, Senna decided to play along for today. Senna told him that this appearance reminded her of her cousins from the past. Senna originally had 3 cousins. The last time she saw them was on her grandfather's funeral day. But because of the ownership issues of this house, her aunt started arguing with her grandfather. Later, it became hard to see them. Dion said he also remembered the past. Senna was curious and asked him what he remembered. Dion's mention of his mother passing away made Senna hurriedly change the topic. She said, "You still have the president, don't you?" Dion said he hadn't seen him for a long time. He thought he wasn't a qualified father. He didn't even attend his mother's funeral. But Dion still secretly chose to forgive his father. Senna said this was all the president's fault. You don't need to bear anything for him. Dion curiously asked if Senna knew his father well. Senna told Dion that the first time she met him was the day she received the news of her parents' disappearance. They said there was an accident during a mission. Grandpa's colleague was the first to tell her. The second was a knight. The third was the president. At that time, seeing the president's state, Senna had a bad premonition. Senna said she had said some not very interesting things. At this time, the Duke told them to stop chattering about things. Your body hasn't returned to normal yet. Don't you feel uneasy? Dion didn't feel any uneasiness. The Duke said he was very busy. Besides the issues with the duchy, there was a mountain of work to handle. Senna said, "It's just a few days. There shouldn't be any problem, right? Are there no adults at home?" The Duke said his parents had both passed away, and there were no other relatives. The Duke said he didn't want to say it because he feared that expression on Senna's face. Senna felt somewhat ashamed. The Duke told her not to take it to heart. Senna comforted him, saying they should be able to find clues about Labrota at the library tomorrow. The Duke asked Senna if she remembered the previous incident. Senna immediately thought of Selena. The Duke explained that person was his cousin. Accurately speaking, the daughter of the person who wanted to kill him. It turned out that after Sharad's father died, he passed the title of Duke to him. His uncle resented him greatly. He even wanted to kill him. If his father hadn't arranged for a few knights and servants, he wouldn't be alive today. Since then, Duke Sharad successfully took revenge on his uncle. His uncle didn't want to be a slave. He said, rather than becoming slaves, the family might as well hang themselves together. In the end, Duke Sharad felt that he had indirectly caused the death of his cousin. The Duke told Senna not to worry. He stated he wouldn't forcibly take this house. Senna was very happy to talk with the Duke like this. She told him not to sleep here. It might be more comfortable to sleep inside. The Tsundere Duke came to Senna's side. He said sleeping like this was very comfortable. At this time, Senna was drowsy, but she found something furry. When Senna opened her eyes, she found Dion had changed back. Senna wanted to know why she was here. Dion explained that seeing the sofa was uncomfortable. He carried her back to the room. He originally wanted to put her on the bed and leave, but she wouldn't let go of his hair. Senna hurriedly withdrew her wandering hand that was stroking him, but Dion grabbed her hand. He said, "It's just the two of us here." He wanted Senna to eat breakfast with him. A few days later, Robin found Senna. He wanted to invite her to go to his hometown with him. Robin seemed to look forward to Senna's answer. Senna didn't understand why he suddenly wanted to go to his hometown. Robin explained that he knew the Lord. If he spoke to him, he should be able to give her a job. And our territory is really nice. Nothing happens. It's very peaceful. People are kind too. Because it's in the north, the weather isn't hot either. Don't you hate hot weather? But Senna expressed that she didn't want to go. Robin expressed his deep apologies to Senna. Afterwards, the two chatted on the street. At this time, Senna saw a shop selling cookies. She remembered Dion, and the Duke liked them and planned to buy some. Just when Robin wanted to buy cookies for Senna, Dion suddenly popped up, saying he could buy them too. Robin didn't know Dion at all. In Robin's eyes, the two seemed to know each other. Senna said she forgot to introduce them. Under Senna's introduction, the two also learned they were both Senna's friends. Both seemed very awkward. At this time, Senna told Dion that a hair was sticking up on the back of his head. Robin found their strange atmosphere a bit odd. Dion told Senna, "Didn't you fix this for me in the morning?" Senna didn't deny it either. Dion asked Senna why she wanted to buy cookies. Senna said she wanted to share them with Sasha and him. Robin didn't understand who the Sasha Senna spoke of was. Watching Senna and Dion's happy appearance, Robin fled the place feeling aggrieved. In this moment, Robin's heart sincerely wished for Senna to be happy. Since then, the story of Robin getting drunk and crying spread. Senna heard Anna mention this matter. She didn't know what was wrong with him either. She only knew he was retiring. At this time, Dale Fraubel and Isabella Fraubel came to the association. What Senna thought in her heart was, he didn't even attend his wife's funeral. She thought he and Dion were nothing alike. Anna told Senna she called her here this time to tell her about a new request. There was only one condition to get 50,000 rufen. Anna also stated that the client was a man named Owen. Senna was a bit excited. She asked if it was the Owen she knew. Owen, the S-rank hunter. As the youngest S-rank hunter, he had never failed a request. He was a legendary existence. A scholar recognized by the Academy. A ruin excavator. The ruins he excavated included the ancient Eliorus ruins, the Caning royal tombs, Sage Cyril's grimoire, and so on. Even ordinary people who weren't hunters loved him very much. He was the idol of this world. Senna didn't expect such a person to actually commission her. Anna thought he might be looking for someone who could speak Politian. But Senna didn't speak Politian. Anna asked, "Didn't you go to Politia? He must think you were a very good assistant." Senna thought this was a rare opportunity. However, when Senna arrived at Owen's mansion for the first time, she found many strange statues inside. Suddenly, a beautiful painting appeared in front of Senna. But at the foot of this painting, there were many demons. At this time, Owen appeared in front of her wearing a mask. Senna was instantly startled. Owen thought her posture was quite interesting. Owen expressed he was glad to meet her. Senna remembered he was the male lead candidate she saw on the cover. Actually, Owen had wanted to meet Senna for a long time. It turned out the reason Owen sought Senna was that he found her consciousness during the Scaro subjugation very interesting. And the Chicot matter also surprised him. Also, fighting monsters all night to protect a fainted colleague. Senna was obviously a bit embarrassed by his praise. Owen also mentioned some of Senna's other nicknames. Senna expressed she didn't like those nicknames. Senna felt she was just sturdier than others and recovered a bit faster. Owen, however, felt she was already excellent. He believed Senna could become a successful hunter and had hope of becoming S-rank. Senna knew the difficulty of S-rank well. She thought Owen was overpraising her. Owen also stated that excavating ruins was also a very interesting thing. He had seen some hunters switch careers to excavating ruins. Senna, however, thought those things required money and time. One also had to form a team to go overseas. It also cost a lot of money. Owen said there was someone who could help her. Senna, however, firmly expressed she wouldn't accept his help. Since it was so, Owen couldn't say much. Instead, he told her the purpose of calling her here was twofold. On one hand, he was interested in Senna. Second was regarding Duke Kalman. Owen asked Senna if she had seen any monsters. Senna calmed down. She told him such things hadn't happened. Rumors about monsters appearing were all intercepted by the Duke. Senna was a bit puzzled. How did Owen know about the monsters? Owen planned to tell Senna a story. A long time ago, a demon opened the gate of hell alone. The demons who came to this land liked to torture people. They brought physical pain to humans and also tempted humans, making humans depraved, causing distrust and division among people. And they enjoyed causing destruction very much. They brought the vicious power from hell to the earth. That power polluted the earth and caused animals and plants to mutate. So, monsters were born. The power of demons also affected humans, going completely mad, losing reason, becoming monsters. or inheriting that power to become mages, or purifying the demon's power to become priests. Owen told Senna, using the demon's power to conversely evolve into divine power. Isn't it ridiculous? Although the priests successfully slaughtered most of the demons, they hadn't found a way to kill high-level demons yet. So they sealed the souls of 33 high-level demons, kept in the Holy Kingdom. Therefore, all this time, the 33 souls have been sealed in the Holy Kingdom. But not long ago, 3 demon souls disappeared, and Owen, commissioned by the Holy Kingdom, is tracking the 3 missing demons. Moreover, when sealing the demon souls, 5 great families help the priests. In the Empire, only they know about the seal, and only they can approach the sealed demon souls. These 5 great families include the Duke Kalman family. At this time, Senna had completely fallen asleep listening. Owen woke the sleeping Senna up. Senna expressed she didn't like myths much. Owen said he didn't consider the guests' feelings. So Owen planned to change the topic. Monsters are lives born from the power of demons. So, just like children following their parents, they follow the demons. Senna said, "Isn't this still a myth?" Owen told her, "If Duke Kalman holds the demon's seal, monsters will appear around Duke Kalman." Owen told her he wasn't looking for a demon, but Saintess. Owen recounted that when the previous Saintess sacrificed herself, she sealed the 33 demons. Until now, Owen stated that in every era, a Saintess exists in the world, and the Saintess's blood is the only way to lift the demon's seal. Owen explained why he mentioned Duke Kalman. He seemed to be looking for a certain woman. If he is a demon wanting to lift the seal, Owen said he would kill him with his own hands. Senna excitedly stated that she knew nothing about this. Owen had seen through it long ago. He told her to go back and ask him personally. No matter how Senna explained, Owen was already suspicious. Senna planned to leave. Owen said he would contact her again. Afterwards, Senna received many gifts from Owen. At this time, Senna was a bit suspicious because she had never talked carefully with the Duke. Senna thought the Duke was the male lead. But after listening to what Owen said, she thought the Duke might actually be a villain. Dion found Senna. He wanted to know why there were so many things in the house. Senna said they were gifts from someone. Senna opened one of them. She found it was actually full of magic crystals. While helping Senna move them, Dion asked her who sent the gifts. Senna awkwardly said it was just an acquaintance. This made Dion's jealousy explode instantly. He thought her network was really wide. Senna couldn't help but shudder. While eating again, Senna kept staring at the Duke. At this time, Senna was thinking about whether he was a villain. Dion, on the side, seemed a bit depressed. The Duke asked Senna what was wrong. Senna hemmed and hawed. Dion couldn't listen anymore, threw a fit, and left. The Duke thought, did Senna and he quarrel yesterday? Senna didn't know either. The Duke asked if he should go ask, because he felt uncomfortable. The Duke wanted to talk to Senna today, about the monsters. Now, how to talk in this atmosphere. The Duke told them he entrusted something to Aaron. After showing you that thing, I will explain it to you. Senna thought there was no problem. Before that, she whispered to the Duke that Dion liked sweets. She would go buy cake. The Duke smiled and said, "Then go and come back quickly. We'll wait for you." Senna thought she was overthinking. The Duke smiled so brightly. How could he be a villain? Just when Senna finished buying the cake, Owen found Senna panting. He told her something big happened. He asked her if all the magic tools were placed at home. Senna confusedly asked, "What's wrong? Is there a problem?" Owen said strange things were mixed in. Otherwise, your house will explode. At this time, Senna was about to go crazy. Senna flashed home, found nothing suspicious around her house. Owen told her if she moved carelessly, it might explode. He had to retrieve it personally and apologized to Senna. Senna told him the stuff was on the second floor. But Senna seemed to remember something. That was, Duke Kalman was also in the house. She remembered Owen's words from back then. Just as Senna wanted to stop him, Owen had already pushed the door open, but found it very tidy and empty. Senna found the room so tidy, thought the Duke and the others went out. Seeing this, Senna told Owen to quickly take the dangerous things away. Owen, who entered the room, suddenly pulled out his weapon, told Senna there was a thief in her house. This made Senna a bit confused. Told Senna there were footprints over there. Deduced from this that a thief had appeared in her house. Owen stated that the explosion wasn't important now. Forgive Owen for just finding an excuse to come to Senna's house. His goal was very clear. It was to find Duke Kalman. Senna finally realized. Owen came to catch Duke Kalman. Senna wanted to sneak attack Owen, but the difference in strength was too great. At this time, Owen had long discovered someone was hiding in the room, but Owen was instead ambushed by the Duke popping out from behind. Dion picked up Owen's gun, threatened him, asking if he wanted to try a shot here, just to test the performance of this gun. The tied-up Owen called Senna a liar, a wife-protecting maniac. Dion told Owen to reorganize his language. Senna thought it was Owen who lied to her first, saying something about explosives mixed in the gift. Dion finally knew the gift was sent by Owen. Asked him if he had selfish motives for Senna. Unable to hide it, Owen had to reveal his purpose for coming. It was to retrieve the demon sealing stone from the predecessor of Duke Calman, the stolen demon sealing stone, and told Senna not to hide it anymore. Came to tell Senna she is the saintess. The three immediately burst into laughter. Owen stated that Senna was clearly famous for her amazing healing power. Senna explained that was just her body being sturdy. Owen didn't believe it, heard she was even immortal. Senna told him those were just exaggerated rumors. Giving a small hunter such a nickname is quite funny. Senna also emphasized that she hated the temple very much. A saintess should feel close to holy power. But Senna felt suffocated as soon as she saw people in white clothes, and stated she had never used divine power to heal others. Owen's face darkened after hearing this. Owen, not believing in evil, started questioning Duke Calman. Their predecessor stole the demon sealing stone, but was asked back by the sharp-tongued Duke. Out of options, Owen took out a ring from his pocket. This ring was the Holy Emperor's ring. Dion, in order to test the ring's authenticity, threw it hard on the ground. Dion stated if it returned to Owen's hand, then it was real. At this time, the ring had returned to Owen's finger. Owen stated he had already proven it. Believed the Duke's family should also have a Holy Emperor's ring. The Duke stated he hadn't seen it. It disappeared 30 years ago. There isn't only one Holy Emperor's ring. There are 5 more rings. They are replicas, imitations of the Holy Emperor's rings, form, and characteristics. But even as imitations, they possess the same characteristics as the genuine one. That is, if the distance between the ring and the wearer exceeds a certain limit, it will return to the wearer's hand. The first saintess distributed these 5 rings to 5 families. They jointly monitored the demons and agreed to keep this secret from each other. For this, Owen told them. But 30 years ago, the person holding the Calman family ring stole the demon sealing stone. Because of this, the mages of the association's detection department are all on long-term business trips. Senna seemed to know the Duke. He is not the Duke. To prevent leaks of incidents related to monsters, they deliberately kept detection department people from contacting outsiders. The reason was he wanted to investigate this matter. But the Duke was looking for a certain woman from the start. In Owen's view, anyone would find it strange. Could Duke Calman really have another purpose? At this time, Aaron pushed the door open. Found the atmosphere inside was 90 wrong. Senna had to explain the whole story to Aaron. Afterwards, the Duke took out the thing Aaron handed over. Aaron took out a diary filled with a pungent smell from his bag. Senna felt she would be cursed if she opened this diary. Dion walked towards Owen holding that diary. Used ropes to let Owen change into a good posture for reading. Owen was very resistant at first. The Duke told him it was safe. Senna cheered for him from the side. Unable to stop it, he could only hold back tears and open the book. In this diary, it seemed to record a man being experimented on by Marquis Euclid, finally creating magic power. The Marquis later brought a golden-haired girl into the prison. That girl was Ellen. After listening to the contents of the diary, they couldn't help but lament their cruelty. Also from this, they learned the Marquis wanted to use Saintess Ellen's blood to unseal the demon and revive it. But it probably didn't succeed. His magic looked very amateur and unstable. Owen still wanted to know where that slipped-away demon was. The Duke stated that even if you question him, he couldn't explain much. But later he discovered the place where the demon lived. Perhaps because it fled too hastily, it lost this diary. Afterwards, the Duke showed this diary to the Emperor as well. The Emperor told him to ensure Ellen's safety first. But the things that happened in between made the Duke think Ellen hated him, so she didn't go with him. Senna finally understood she had caused trouble. Senna initially thought the Duke was a perverted stalker. Finally understood the Duke. His purpose turned out to be really just protecting Ellen. Senna blamed herself now, but she decided later to continue protecting the house and Ellen's safety. So Senna asked Dion to step aside for a talk. Senna told Dion, "Actually, I had already sensed your feelings." Dion was a bit stunned for a moment. Senna stated you liked her for so long. It would be strange if you gave up easily. Dion asked in confusion who she was talking about. Senna stated it must be Ellen. Back then, you crying bitterly showed how much you liked Ellen. Since Ellen is the saintess, dangerous things like last time will happen again. So Senna hoped Dion would stop coming to her house in the future. But Dion was a bit sad. Asked Senna not to say that. Senna, seeing his shy expression, instantly felt a bit soft-hearted. Senna thought if she didn't do that, maybe his face would become bloody and mangled in the future. To guarantee his safety, Senna still didn't allow it. To persuade him, she stated those monsters have no emotions. Eating people is basic. They even drink the saintess's blood. It's best not to get mixed up with this kind of species. Dion understood. Senna wanted to pretend to be a bad person who doesn't know dangerous figures. Dion explained that he couldn't leave everything to others and run away just because he was weak. He hoped Senna could let him stay in this house. Senna, out of options, told him if he wanted to stay, promise her one condition. Dion confidently told Senna to say anything. Afterwards, only he could understand Dion's pain. Senna stated, since they know monsters will come back, they must be prepared. Made Dion memorize knowledge about monsters, from names to their weaknesses. If he could understand them one by one, there would be nothing to fear. Dion wanted a rest. Must get Senna's permission to do so. In order not to let Dion be lonely, Senna made the Duke study monster knowledge too. Later, Ellen came to Senna, wanted to give her something. Ellen seemed to notice the thing on the shelf over there. Looking so majestic, it really looked like a dragon's relic or something. Senna told her that was just a desk lamp. Ellen praised her taste as so cool. Unexpected that this was just an ordinary desk lamp. Senna was curious about what Ellen brought. Turns out Ellen discovered Senna's palm was injured last time. It made Ellen very concerned, so she made medicine. Ellen stated it was a recipe developed a long time ago, but finding the ingredients took too long. Senna was moved by Ellen's kindness. For this, Ellen hoped Senna would definitely accept it. Senna excitedly told Ellen, even if asked to return it later, I won't give it to him. Senna, seeing Ellen happen to come to the house, wanted to talk to her about Marquis Euclid. Ellen stated she also couldn't remember clearly, as if she had amnesia. Ellen recounted that people from the temple found me fainted in the jungle. So she worked there, used the boat money to open a flower shop, also studied botany there. Ellen lifted her bangs to show the scar on her forehead, told Senna there were many more wounds on her body. So Ellen didn't want to recall her past. Senna swore, absolutely would not forgive the damned Marquis Euclid. Ellen, seeing Senna wasn't very happy, told her that after coming here, many interesting things happened. In Ellen's eyes, the more important thing was becoming neighbors with Senna. At this time, Senna also felt embarrassed to mention Marquis Euclid. But for the safety of Ellen and everyone, she planned to ask Ellen if she knew Marquis Euclid. Ellen seemed to have not heard it all. Senna emphasized Marquis Euclid again. Ellen indicated she completely couldn't hear what Senna was saying. Senna didn't expect Ellen not only had her memory wiped, but she couldn't even hear Marquis Euclid. Dion thought Ellen might not want to remember all that, so she acted that way. At this time, Owen outside the window was eavesdropping on their conversation. The Duke asked Senna what to do next. Senna was still the same. Protect the house and Ellen's safety. At this, the Duke smiled, thinking Senna really put her heart into it. Owen was stunned, because in Owen's eyes, the Duke was a cold-blooded guy. Personally killed his uncle, cousin, and family members who threatened him. Now showing that kind of unbelievable expression to a commoner. This seemed to refresh Owen's view of the Duke. Owen thought he could hear some useful intelligence. Never expected Senna and the others were looking forward to the meal the Duke would cook tonight. Owen stated he couldn't dispel his suspicion of the Duke. Planned to try again tomorrow. In the morning, Owen told Senna he came to accept punishment. Hoped Senna could torture him to her heart's content. Senna asked him if he was a pervert who would accept punishment in this way. Owen was dead set on apologizing, so he bowed and stated he felt she was threatened by Duke Calman, then babbled a bunch. The result was he still harbored ill will towards the Duke. This made Senna's impression of him instantly turn 180 degrees, just as Owen narcissistically stated Senna would be moved by his apology. At this time, Senna had already slammed the door and went in. Didn't want to deal with that retard. Dion just mentioned something. He knew who the visitor was. Then Dion told Owen if he wanted Senna to forgive him, he must do as he said. Owen originally thought he could please Senna. Didn't expect to be dragged by Dion to be his servant. Out of options, Owen could only swallow his anger. His goal was to get close to Senna. Figure out the Duke's matter. Senna felt wasn't Dion doing a bit too much. when Dion mentioned Owen holding such a dangerous weapon. What if he accidentally hurt her? Such a strong sense of morality angered Senna to make Owen wipe more carefully. Must be sparkling. A few minutes later, Senna took out the gifts Owen gave, told him to take these back, and told Owen not to tell lies anymore. Owen still wanted to explain, but Senna clearly had enough of Owen. Out of options, Owen started to explode with his masochistic attribute, scaring Senna into asking Dion for help. Dion told her to hit if she wanted. Owen was still provoking Senna from the side. Senna finally couldn't bear it anymore and told him to be prepared. Immediately used a finger flick, making Dion's jaw drop. At the same time, S-rank Owen also instantly broke defense. Senna warned him if he lied again, he was dead. A few days later, Senna came to the Hunter Association. Result was she didn't know a single person, standing alone and lonely on the side. At this time, Owen found the lonely Senna, told her instead of this, better to ask about the proxy updater in advance. Then there's no need to wait in person. Senna asked, isn't proxy update not allowed? Owen stated he did it once before running errands for his teacher. Senna wanted to know what happened later. Owen pointed to the side. That was the outcome of proxy update. This made Senna laugh out loud. Senna stated if she hadn't been demoted, she wouldn't have needed to come. At this time, Senna recalled past events, making her instantly quiet down. Seeing this, Owen wanted to ask her. Senna told him to change the topic. Just chat. Owen told her to come closer. Told Senna. Found a detection department. Mage who hadn't gone on a business trip. Senna excitedly asked, did you ask about the monsters? Owen stated no gains, because they didn't know about monster appearances in the capital. Owen told Senna he was commissioned by the Holy Kingdom to protect the Saintus and hunt demons. Would do anything for this mission. For this, he wanted to invite Senna to cooperate and defeat the demons together. But Senna knew Owen still suspected the Duke. Couldn't rashly form an alliance. But she told Owen they could go to the detection department's office together. Maybe they could discover something. At this time, a hidden door was slowly opened. Really let them discover the secrets hidden by the mages. Inside the hidden door, it was full of classified documents. Senna saw a matter regarding mutant monsters. It said Servant's Jungle Monster Ecosystem Investigation Request. Owen noticed Senna's behavior. Senna stated this was the record of the accident her parents encountered. Servant's Jungle Monster Ecosystem Investigation Request. Client to run. Participants Richard, Olivia, Elia, Aesel, Rashir. Servant's Jungle Disappearance Incident. Refers to the incident of 12 hunters disappearing that occurred on December 15th, Imperial Year 135. On December 28th, Eliah's body was found outside the forest, inferring from the traces left on the body. When Elia died, she should have been trying to escape from the monster's claws. The bodies found after that all had similar traces. So the investigation team concluded that mutant monsters appeared in the Servant's jungle. But to collect evidence, no matter how the investigation team searched the jungle, they couldn't witness the mutant monster with their own eyes. The Rashir couple, who were Senna's parents, that is, Richard and Olivia's bodies were not found in the end. Owen stated this matter had passed 18 years ago. At that time, Senna's parents never returned. She was bullied by her peers. Even if others insulted Senna's parents without knowing the truth, she couldn't do anything. Senna hoped her parents could escape to an unknown place and live well. Maybe she could see them again. Owen saw Senna's mood was very heavy. Told her she could take this away. Senna wanted to know what was the use of taking these. Owen stated he had been there. That jungle in Rayburn. And Rayburn is Baron Destin's territory. Because Marquis Euclid's birth mother is the young lady of the Destin Baron family. Owen inferred Marquis Euclid and Ellen are both related to this incident.